Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, profit sharing and cash balance plans, part 4 in our series on tax advantage retirement plans with retirement expert Jodie Dailey. Welcome to the 4th segment, Jodie.
Thank you.
I should say bowing down to your prowess in these regards. I mean, you are really a gun. And when we talk about qualified plan, you've been in this thing 30 something years, right? I mean, we're talking some serious time. And you know this stuff cold. You deal with this every day. Now, most of our people watching our show are going to go, gee, I know 401ks, I know IRAs, I might even know Roth, but I don't know if I know what a profit sharing plan is or a cash balance plan. Give me a little bit of definition on both, and then I'll start asking you questions on the basis of your answer.
Okay. Well, a profit sharing plan is a defined contribution plan that really provides a contribution generally on a discretionary basis by the employer based on net profits or based on other criteria that they may decide at the end of the year to make. It's generally a compensation-based formula where they say we're going to give every employee a 5% of pay profit sharing contribution because we had a good year. It's typically determined after the end of the tax year for the employer.
And they can change this every year?
They can change it every year. In some cases, it's hardwired into the document. In most cases, profit-sharing contributions are discretionary. There are different forms of profit-sharing plans that, different new comparability, other types of design features that you can put into profit-sharing plans.
Now, I got that. Defined benefit plan. That's what a profit-sharing plan is. And it's one of the few plans that can take life insurance, correct?
Correct.
Cash. All right, cash balance plan. What's that?
Cash balance plan is actually a defined benefit plan, and it's called a hybrid plan, but it really is a defined benefit plan where it's determining the amount that's being contributed to an employee based on a formula. It might be a flat dollar amount, it might be a percent of pay.
Well, why can't you just do a straight out defined benefit plan?
Well,
why is it different?
A cash balance plan is a little bit simpler to understand than a defined benefit plan, particularly for participants, because they actually see their accumulated account balance. Employer, they might say they're going to make a 1% of pay contribution to you. They make a $500 annual contribution. You see that go into your account, and it grows with earnings or with interest credits. So it's easier for a participant to understand that than accruing a benefit in a defined benefit plan.
Okay, so if I'm making a decision on a defined benefit plan, if I'm comparing defined benefit plan to a defined benefit plan cash balance plan, from an employer point of view, I might want to look at this cash balance plan. It's a lot more disclosed. It sounds like it's more fully disclosed to the employee.
Well, they're both disclosed. They're just easier to understand. The cash balance is easier to understand. It looks more like a 401k plan as far as in terms of what participants see on statements and what they see on
it's
paper.
a defined benefit
But
plan.
it is a defined benefit plan.
Okay, now, and your profit sharing is also a defined benefit, or is it
defined contribution?
All right. So I'm looking at these two. These are not as well known in the public's eye. So if I'm an employer today, I'm watching this show and I'm thinking, well, there's a very difference. I never heard. When I hear defined benefit, is a profit sharing plan for me, and you'd have criteria for that. Here's what you'd want to look characteristics that you'd make your decision. The other one would be, instead of doing a traditional defined benefit plan, sounds like the cash balance plans are easier to understand. Are they easier to administrate?
They are slightly easier. There is still an actuarial calculation involved in defined benefit and cash balance contributions.
If I'm looking at the yin and yang, the pros and cons of a profit sharing plan, what are the negatives? Kind of give me the positives. What are the negatives from an employer point of view?
That's a tough question because I don't really think that there's ever a negative when you're providing a benefit to your employees. But sometimes internally there can be, if you're making a contribution and it's determined based on an employee's contribution to the company, politically some employees may think, well, I did more than Steve. Why is he getting a contribution to the profit sharing plan in the same percentage of pay that I'm getting? So politically sometimes there may be that kind of thing. Profit sharing contributions are generally discretionary, so that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. If an employer has a bad year, they don't need to make that contribution. So, there's not really a lot of cons in a straight profit sharing plan.
Can you combine, trying to get the best of both worlds here, can I have actually introduce into my company a profit sharing plan, defined contribution, and a cash balance plan, defined benefit? Can I introduce both of those into my company?
Absolutely.
So are there ways to, if I already have my 401k, could I keep that and still introduce these two?
Yeah, and actually, in many cases, profit sharing provisions are already part of your 401k plan. That's a feature in the adoption agreement that you can just check off and say, I want to include profit sharing in the plan document.
At the beginning, if you didn't have that on there, it's in your doc, you just didn't do it.
You amend
But
it.
you could execute it and say, hey, we're doing all right. I'd like to give profit
Yes.
sharing to my people. Okay.
Yes.
So you could have these, how do they pretty, you sound like you like the tandem ability of having the defined contribution, having a profit sharing plan on the contribution side and a benefit plan on the other side using a cash balance. Do you like that?
We really believe in pairing plans or layering plans one on top of the other to provide additional benefits. Typically, plans are tested together in that environment. It requires some form of contributions across both plans, but they can be really beneficial, and there's way to tier benefits to certain groups of employees, and there's a lot of flexibility in the design of those
Now,
plans.
did I just hear you? Is that when you say tiered benefits? Is that code for I could be discriminatory?
You can. I wouldn't say discriminate is the right word, but yes, you can define certain groups to receive certain types of contributions in the plans. Yes.
Okay, so could I separate blue collar from white collar? Would that be one distinction?
You can do it in certain ways. Yeah, it might be by job title, by classification, those
Managerial?
types of things. Managerial, absolutely. And that's one of the advantages of those types of plans is that you can start to kind of pick and choose the groups of employees that you want to benefit.
Any regulatory issues on this? I'm sure.
Well, there is testing.
Yeah,
You still
there's
have to test the benefits. So.
Okay. Now let's say I went through the test. I did it. I like the adoption of both. I got a contribution and a defined benefit plan together, and I'm keeping my original 401k. Do you see anybody adding additional ERISA plans beyond 401k, profit sharing, and cash balance?
Absolutely.
There's more.
There is more. There is a very kind of top-notch, sophisticated defined benefit plan that we're doing a lot of these days called a benefit-focused defined benefit
And we're going to
plan.
talk about that next segment. So keep hold on that. So what I keep thinking, and I think I'm typical. I think most employers and entrepreneurs that have people working for them are watching this show going, I did not realize, I thought it was 401k and that's all you're in. I didn't know you could add profit sharing. I didn't know you could do cash balance plan. I didn't know you could have a safe harbor 401k. All in the same time. And then we're going to talk in the fifth segment on something even much more, I would say, eclectic and somewhat sophisticated. So these are all there and options for retirement for an employer. He's looking at this, what's the benefit to the company and himself as the shareholder, but he's also looking at this as, I need this as a retention tool
Absolutely.
to keep my good employees and my rainmakers, right? And also a way to recruit from other companies over to my company.
Absolutely.
Okay, now in your mind, how many multiple plans, I'm just curious now, how many multiple plans, when you deal with all the people you've done in the last 30 years, how many have more than just one plan? They have not only a 401k, but they have all these additional ones.
Oh, we see them all the time.
So you're saying Americans are doing multiple, or companies are doing multiple plans?
Yes, particularly companies that are profitable, that are looking for additional contributions more than they can get in defined contribution plans. We're seeing a lot of paired plans these days.
Now, earlier you said that there was an increase in defined benefit plans, and some of this might be due to the flexibility of profit sharing plans. I mean, you said you could even adopt life insurance into it. So are you seeing any of that?
Well, yeah, and cash balance plans is a defined contribution plan, so we're seeing an increase in the addition of those into businesses.
Is this, if I'm an employer today and I'm saying, boy, you guys are exciting me, but how much hassle is it? A lot of admin work here. Can I farm all this out?
It really, from an employer standpoint, our job is to make it as easy as possible on the employer. So we like to take all those responsibilities on the administration.
You're filing the 5500s, everything. You're doing it all.
Absolutely.
And you're okay with doing it all?
Yes.
Would you say most of your employers are outsourcing it to you? They're not keeping anything in-house?
In most cases, the only thing that they really need to do is provide payroll data and census data and that type of thing. But for the most part, they don't want. This is not what they do in their business day to day. It's not what they want to do.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Well, listen, don't forget to watch our next segment on benefit-focused defined benefit plans, part 5 in our series on tax advantage retirement plans. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, and financial advisor. You've been watching Savant's Money. Let me know.